Testing. There we go. I'm going to give this right back to you, Khaki, so I don't get tempted to use two microphones. Good morning, everyone. Well, what a beautiful morning it is today. Does anybody know what you were doing 40 years ago today? I know what I was doing 40 years ago today. I know what I was doing. I started my first day at work at my new job at McDonald's. I was the biscuit maker in the mornings. And that would seem like a weird thing to remember, except what happened later that day was my youngest brother was born. And so on the one hand, I'm like, wow, I can't believe my baby brother is 40 years old. And then I'm like, because that's pretty young. Then the next question is, when did I think 40 years old was young? I know I'm not the only one here who probably has those thoughts. Anyhow, I'm going to invite us all to get grounded here before we begin. Take a few deep breaths. Feel your feet on the floor. And just come to presence. And I invite you to respond to the words I'm about to say on the screen. Come as you are, aching, tired, joyful, or seeking. Here, we are woven together in love. Set down what you carry and let this be a place of rest. Here, we are held in hope and mercy. Be present to yourself, to each other, and to the divine life that flows through all things. Here, together, we find the common thread of divine life that connects us all. This common thread of divine life in which we live and move and have our being, our God who is lover, beloved, and love overflowing. Amen.
I am making a home inside myself, a shelter of kindness where everything is forgiven, everything allowed, a quiet patch of sunlight to stretch out without hurry, where all that has been banished and buried is welcomed, spoken, listened to, released, a fiercely friendly place I can claim as my very own.
I am light, I am light. I am light, I am light. I am light, I am light. I am light, I am light.
I am not the things my family did. I am not the voices in my head. I am not the pieces of the brokenness inside. I am light. I am light.
I'm not the mistakes that I have made, or any of the things that cause me pain. I am not the pieces of the dream I left behind. I am light. 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 I am light.
Good morning, and welcome to What Common Thread. I'm Khaki McKinney, and I am very happy to be with you today. I've spent the weekend with my 2-year-old grandson, and I'm happy to see adults. So, welcome. If you are a newcomer or an old timer, someone who's been here for a year, or someone who used to come here years ago, if you found us online or stumbled in from the street, whoever you are, and no matter what you brought here today, you belong. And we are so happy to have you with us this morning. If you want to know more about us, just click this QR code and we'll send you a zero pressure email with more information, including the option to connect with a live human being, which, if you really want to know what we are about, is the best way to go. To get a first-hand account of what this place is really like, where we shine, where we fall short, but mostly how transformation is the aim wherever each of us is on the spiritual journey. Knowing that making that journey together takes us farther than we could ever go on our own. So welcome. An even more heartfelt welcome today if you are here and having a hard time. In our culture, it's our inclination to isolate when the going gets tough. But we know that standing with each other on our rough days is an act of solidarity, an act of love, and part of what makes our personal and collective transformation possible. So each Sunday down the hall, we have a listener who is willing to hold space for us when we are having a challenging time. If you need an ear to listen, a shoulder to cry on, or just a different perspective through which to look at your struggles, head to the library down the hall, and Dawn will be there to hold space for you. And she will hold anything you say in absolute confidence. And at any time, you can always go to this URL to request support through our community care team. Morgan leads that effort, and if you let her know what's up, she'll point you in the right direction. And now, let's say together, as we do each week, if you are here, you belong.
If you are here, you belong.
We are, every one of us, carriers of the inner light.
We are, every one of us, carriers of the inner light.
And we are, every one of us, carriers of divine breath.
We are, every one of us, carriers of divine breath.
And as fellow carriers of divine light and divine breath, I invite you all to stand and greet one another.
We're having the tech day from hell.
All right, and as you're making your way to your seats, let's wend our way to our seats, please.
Testing, testing. Okay, okay. streets and ran thousands of miles, and I fled the land that holds the heart of my kin. And I know you now see the torn state I'm in. I can't tell you my name or the places I've been. And I'm seeking kindness, longing for safety, praying for home. And I'm craving compassion, searching for sanity, praying for home. I've been stripped to the bone. Home is where we can belong, and home is where our children grow strong, and home is where the fire burns low, and home is where peace can come from, and home is where peace can come from. And I'm praying for human kindness, and I'm praying for human kindness. I am praying for human forgiveness, and I'm praying for us all to belong. And they call me a migrant, they call me a thief, they call me a beggar man, an asylum seeker. And I was once a teacher, and I was once a family man, and I was once a dreamer, a community leader. And I've seen friends and family all scattered and broken, and we don't know why the cruelty keeps raging. Yes, I'm seeking your kindness, I'm longing for safety, and I'm praying for home. And I'm craving compassion, and I'm searching for meaning, and I feel so alone. I've been stripped to the bone, and home is where we can belong, and home is where our children grow strong, and home is where the fire burns low, and home is where peace can come from, and home is where peace can come from. And home is where peace can come from. And home is where peace can come from. And home is where peace can come from.
This is what's going on in our community this month. If you'll just take a look at it, I'll tell you a little bit more how to get more information in a moment. The one that I want to feature this morning is self-awareness. The self-awareness group is going to meet Sunday, June 14th from 11:45 to 12:45 in room 209. Self-awareness helps us pause, release unhelpful patterns, and grow in compassion and clarity. We're going to watch two members practice together, and childcare is available, and snacks are always welcome. And if you missed anything or you want to know more, you can always find out one of three ways: in the app, on the website, or through our weekly email.
Thank you, Kaki. And with that, I'm going to invite us all to get grounded again. Just take a minute. A few deep breaths. Just notice that you are here. Not your thoughts about being here. Not your plans for later. Just here. In this room, in this moment, in this body. I invite you to sense the contact points of your body. Your feet touching the floor. Your body meeting the chair. The clothes on your skin. Air on your face. Let yourself become increasingly conscious of the quiet fact that you are physically present here. Dwell not in what you are, but that you are. Let's see if you can just notice your breath. Don't manage it, don't improve it, just notice it. Just receive it. Let your awareness widen gently throughout your body. Your feet, your legs. Your belly and your chest. Your shoulders, your face. Just inhabit the space you already occupy here. You are aware. You are present. You are not alone in your presence. You are not alone in your awareness. You are surrounded by other bodies. This is a shared moment of presence together. Maybe this morning, for just a moment, we can allow ourselves to stop reaching. Not reaching backward, not reaching forward. Not reaching to improve this moment, just being. Let yourself rest into this simple awareness. You are here. You are here. Be still and know that I am God.
Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know. Be still and know. Be still and know. Be still and know. Be still. Be still. Be still. Be still.
So it's a bit of an interesting story around how Suzanne has come to be our speaker today. She had this idea she wanted to share with the group, and she went into the app and found out she could just sign up to be the preacher. And I was like, what? And then she said, could you imagine if everybody in this community took that seriously and signed up to be the preacher? I thought about it for a minute. I was like, no, nobody here really wants to do that, except for folks like Suzanne, who has gotten up here to speak before, and she has a beautiful interactive message to share with us today. And so I'd like to invite her up here, and thank you for taking the lead on this for us today, Suzanne.
Let's see if you can hear me. Yes? Great. Good. Good feedback. Thank you. No? Can't hear me. Okay. Okay. I'll do my best to be teacher voice, as Khaki says. Good morning. I'm nervous to be here, of course, and really happy to be here. I spoke once last year, and I realized this morning how many people I know. I didn't know many people last year, and Sue said, well, if you really want people to get to know you, preach a sermon. And I did, and this morning I thought there are less than a handful of people that I don't know your names, but I really want to, and I've been a happy member of this place of sanity, this oasis of sanity now for a year and a half. I don't think it's a perfect place, thank God, because I wouldn't be able to be a member. But it's a sane place. It's a place where we seek to increase our internal sanity and then seek to be agents of sanity in an insane world. So I come today not with a perfect manuscript, but with a story I want to share that will bring some sanity, I think, into your life. I was a psychotherapist for 35 years. I loved my job. I worked hard. I did my best most of the time. But I never told a story as therapeutic as the one my grandchild told me 2 years ago. And I want to share it with you. My grandchild is Evie. They are 11 years old. They asked a year ago to be understood as they and them. I am trying very hard to be supportive, and in that, I'm working hard to change the pronouns. And as many of you know, that's really hard to do. And so I will fumble a little bit, and you'll just understand that I'm still learning a new habit. When Evie was 9 and in the 4th grade, she dropped a rock on a girl's head. This happened in the context of recess on the playground, and Evie and her frenemy, Anna, were fighting, arguing about which game they were going to play. And Anna kept pestering Evie, and Evie turned around and announced, "If you don't stop bothering me, I'm going to drop a rock on your head." And of course, Anna did not stop. And Evie, ever a person of integrity, reached over, got a rock, raised it up, and dropped it. Now, the teachers did not see the argument. They saw the rock coming down on Anna's head. And the teachers and Anna's mother wanted some justice, some remediation. So Evie agreed to go see a counselor for therapy for a while to work on anger management. Evie would frequently spend the night with Joe and me. And one night I asked her, "What have you been learning with Miss Danielle, the therapist?" "Well," they said, "I know about a pause." "Really? What do you mean a pause?" "Well, if I get mad at somebody, if I want to scream at them and kick them and punch them, I can take a pause." Wow. Wow. Do you mean to tell me that if I got mad at Joe and I wanted to scream at him and yell and kick and punch, I could take a pause? "Yeah, Mimi, you could." I said, "I'm going to use that." And I do. Frequently. So a couple of weeks later, it was such a great conversation. I wanted to have another one. I said, "So tell me more about what you're learning with Miss Danielle." They said, "I've learned that I have a personal space bubble." "What?" "Yeah. Tell me about a personal space bubble." "Well, it's invisible. I can see you and you can see me, but it protects me. I'm in it all the time. And I get to decide things about life outside the bubble." I said, "Like what?" "Well, I get to decide if I want someone to touch me or to hug me. They can come into the bubble. Some people can't. People that I love and feel safe with can come into the bubble. Can I come into the bubble, Evie? Of course you can. Of course." What else does the bubble do? Well, if somebody is mean to me, if they say something hurtful, the bubble can just bounce the words right off. And they don't come through for me. And I asked, and if somebody says something kind to you, yeah, I'll let them in. I'll let the words in. Tell me more about your space bubble. Well, it has a garden inside. Oh my gosh, a garden. Yes, I can plant flowers in my garden. And they are memories that make me happy. And they are times that I want to remember, and they are faces of people that I love. And when I get upset or I can't fall asleep, I can go into my garden and water the flowers. I don't know about you, but this was the most simple elegant, magical, and marvelous metaphor for meditation that I have ever heard. Let's see where I am. I said, what have you planted in your garden? I know some of it's private, but could you give me some examples? Yes, our family vacation to Charleston. It was the best trip ever. My best friend Liam, and how much fun we have when we get together. And what I feel like when I draw and create pictures. And I said, can you weed the garden? Oh, yes, I can. And I can make sure that the flowers are getting enough sun and that they're cleared of leaves. And I can keep planting things. I asked Evie because this was her therapy, their therapy, and I am aware of the confidentiality of therapy. If I had permission to share this story with other people, and they thought about it, and they said, sure. So what I'd like to do together today is an experiment in planting our own gardens. And what you can love about an experiment is that you cannot fail. An experiment is something that teaches us something about ourselves. We delve into a memory bank. There's no failure. There's no competition. There's just memory. And I've put paper and pencils on the tables because I'd like for you not only to remember, but to write for yourself a couple of words that would cue you about how to remember and what you've remembered. It doesn't need to be long or detailed. In fact, it shouldn't be, but just a little description perhaps on the seed packet of what you're going to plant. So if you would be willing, if you're on the edges of the room, move into a table, and if all of you would make sure that there are enough pencils and paper for everybody at your table. There are enough on the tables, but I'm not sure how well they're distributed. I'm just going to give you a couple of prompts, but be assured this is not homework for me. And what I want is if your memory takes you to something different, if you don't have an answer for my prompt, but something else comes to mind, use that. What is the most beautiful place you have ever seen? next question, when is a time that you felt really courageous? The last prompt, think of a time when you were really happy. Think of a time when you were really happy. Now, let's do a little planting. Remember the relaxation meditation that Sue led us in earlier. I'd like for you to try to resume that stance and for a few moments get quiet in your body, get grounded on the floor. The gravity of your chair pulling you securely to the floor. If you want to, close your eyes and just take a couple of good, deep breaths from the diaphragm. And I want you to employ your senses of sight and sound, of smell and touch, and even perhaps taste. As you think about your first memory. And I'd like for you to imagine taking it gently and placing it in a little hole in very fertile, rich soil. And pat dirt carefully all around it. And then give it a little water. And then do the same with your second memory. And then your third. And now come back to me and to the group. And let me speak to the thinking analytical folks in the room. I've been doing a kind of a warm and fuzzy thing here. But I want to tell you some of what neuroscience says about what we've just experienced. Number one, remembering things with gratitude, things that were positive for us, trains our brain to improve both behind and ahead, backwards and forwards. How is this? Well, as humans who have evolved, but not all that much, we tend to pay way more attention to the threats than to the rewards, or to the negative instead of the positive. 7 times more attention, because as a species we've needed to survive. And so a threat was important and our senses were heightened. But if we are not under threat, we tend not to pay attention. So looking back and planting a garden of gratitude helps train your brain to see the past differently. And if you know that you have a garden and that you can add to it at any time, it alerts your brain forward. Just like a gratitude list by your bed does this, because during the day you'll have an experience and you'll think, oh, I could plant that. I want to remember that. And so your brain gets trained to look for gratitude, to look for joy, to look for warmth. Number 2, employing the senses deepens the neural network that the memory has. There's a memory in the past of what happened, and there's a network of neurons that brings it forward for you. And neuroscience tells us now that when we go into that memory and look and hear and taste and touch and smell, we thicken the neural network. And in your brain, it's as though you are there. We know this about trauma. It's also true about joy. Number 3, if you revisit a memory, it will keep it alive. And we know this the hard way, right? A resentment, somebody that did you wrong, a time when you were wounded. It's not that these things aren't important, but I know I can keep a memory alive for decades. And it becomes a vicious weed that can choke out new growth in my garden. So just pause and think about whether or not this is something you want to plant, or whether this is something that needs to be composted for new growth. And now, 4th, it's a big thing, it's a good thing for us to remember for ourselves, within ourselves, but it's even better for the memory if we share it. If you perform a story for another human, it also thickens the neural network. It's like putting fertilizer on the roots and allowing them to grow even deeper and wider because somebody else has heard me. And so, as Sue asked us to do last week, to share a little bit, I'd like for you to, if you are able, to pick a conversation partner, just one other person, and I'd like to ask you if one at a time you would share one flower that you've planted today. And we can't take a long time. Make sure that both people have time, but give some fertilizer to this particular plant. So, go ahead and just choose a partner. And let's begin to wrap it up. Okay?
And as you come back from your conversations,
We're wrapping it up now. Come back. I have so much power. Yeah. I want to thank you for being so kind and attentive to me today. I want to thank Evie. I want to thank Miss Danielle. I wish I could have had an appointment with her myself. And I'm interested in what you felt and sensed and thought today?
Suzanne, thank you so much. Friends on the live stream, we are so glad that you joined us this morning, and we are about to do something in the room that we invite you to participate in online called What Are You Thinking, Sensing, and Feeling? And we're going to talk about Suzanne's lesson. We'll talk about the service. We'll talk about what's going on in our lives or in the world, whatever comes to us, however the Spirit moves us among us. We're going to talk about it. You're invited to do the same. If you look below the video, you'll see a link that says, What are you thinking? Go ahead and click on that, and you will join a conversation with some of the best people I know who have figured out how to cultivate and maintain robust spiritual community remotely. And they would love to have you be part of the conversation. Of course, you may not be interested in talking with them this morning, and that's legit too. But if you're new and you're curious about us, there is another link below that one where you can request an email. It is not dissimilar to the newcomer email that Kaki mentioned earlier, but this one has a little more remote specificity if participating with us remotely feels like the thing that you want to do. And if you're going to join us again next week, I'm just kind of reminding everybody we're stepping into a discussion about artificial intelligence. This is a series that will run through the month of June, and part of why we've been talking about practicing the presence and cultivating a garden is so that we can be grounded when we talk about something that could be a little bit charged for some of us. I know it is a little bit charged for some of us, but we welcome you to that series next week. That'll be in the month of June, and we hope that you'll join us. And with that, friends in the room, can we dismiss our friends on the live stream by putting one hand on our hearts and remembering what we said during our meditation throughout this whole time, which is that the divine is in us. When we are still, we can come to know it. And we are called to cultivate what is in us. It means that the fruit of the Spirit is in us: patience, kindness, goodness, all of these things that we are called to share with our world. And so let's extend our other hand to our city and to our world, taking seriously as we do each week to share what is in us with everyone with whom we come in contact, those with whom we live, with whom we go to school, with whom we work, everyone we bump into on the street, taking seriously our charge to be healers and repairers of our world. Amen. Folks on the live stream, God bless you. You are dismissed. And friends in the room, as always, I invite you to once again get in touch with what you are sensing and feeling before we discuss what it is we are thinking.